Welcome to Garden Ideas, where simple materials bloom into something extraordinary. In today's video, we'll explore 18 brilliant ways to turn ordinary plastic bottles into practical, beautiful planters. From hanging herb gardens to floating rafts that defy soggy soil. These are more than just DIY ideas. They're gentle acts of care. Small-scale solutions that anyone, anywhere can grow on windowsills, in backyards, or even in tiny balconies. We don't just upcycle. We bring life back to forgotten things. Every idea in this video is crafted to be truly achievable, using items you likely already have at home. Watch closely, be inspired, and feel free to pause at any point. Timestamps are provided to help you jump to what you need. And if this kind of grounded creativity speaks to you, consider subscribing. Your support helps us grow, and so will your garden. Let's dig in. There's something quietly satisfying about standing in front of a handmade vertical wall of greens, especially when each leaf traces its roots back to an upcycled bottle. In the early morning light, the dew still clings to the plastic curves, and the leaves of lettuce, spinach, or mustard green stretch gently toward the sun. This is a garden that doesn't sprawl outward, but reaches upward, an elegant answer to tight spaces and curious hands. The concept is beautifully simple. Clear or semi-opaque bottles are sliced open along one side, filled with soil, and mounted horizontally onto a wooden frame or metal rack. Each bottle becomes a cradle for a handful of greens, fast-growing, low-root crops that thrive in shallow containers. For stability, the caps can be left on, with small drainage holes pricked at the bottom to let the excess moisture escape. That means you can line them up tightly, without worrying about water pooling or root rot. If you want to get clever, you can add a drip irrigation line made from more bottles hung upside down at the top row, letting water trickle naturally from one tier to the next. It mimics the quiet rhythm of a forest wall during rain. Slow, deliberate, life-giving. This kind of garden is perfect for apartment dwellers with a sunny wall or fence. It invites reuse, creativity, and most importantly, daily interaction. Watching your greens grow at eye level turns harvesting into a gentle ritual. You don't bend down. You reach forward. Snip, smile, rinse, eat. A wall of bottles isn't just a clever way to garden. It's a reminder that food, like beauty, can come from unexpected places. All it takes is a little patience, a few old bottles, and the courage to plant vertically. Sometimes, the most flavorful gardens are the smallest ones, the kind that dangle from a nail, catch the morning breeze, and sway ever so slightly as if whispering thanks. Hanging bottle herb planters are a soft and simple solution for those whose gardens live not on the ground, but off the edge of balconies, window grills, or sunny kitchen porches. These planters begin life as discarded bottles. 1 liter or 2 liter soda bottles work beautifully. The bottoms are neatly cut, flipped upright, and threaded with strong wire, rope, or cloth strips. From there, they hang gracefully, either in single strands or arranged in tiers against the wall. Inside, the soil rests light and crumbly, holding the roots of sweet basil, sprigs of rosemary, lemon balm, or coriander. Herbs that thrive in shallow beds and quick drainage find new homes suspended in midair. There's a charm in their modest swing. When the wind picks up in the afternoon, each bottle sways like a note in a quiet wind chime. A bit of condensation might beat inside the plastic on humid days, creating a gentle greenhouse effect that herbs love. This setup is ideal for urban gardeners, those with barely a square foot of ground, but plenty of sunlight and heart. Even renters can embrace it. Hang them from an old curtain rod wedged against the balcony wall, or use an upcycled metal rack to create a mobile herb curtain that scents the air as you pass by. Best of all, harvesting is a joy. You step outside with scissors, pluck a few leaves, breathe in their oils, and tuck them into your evening meal. In that quiet act, your balcony becomes more than a view. It becomes a kitchen garden, alive and giving 1 bottle at a time. In the corners of sunlit porches or atop modest garden shelves, something quietly ingenious takes root. Bottle planters that water themselves. They don't hum, buzz, or blink, but they work day in and day out, drawing just the right amount of moisture up through a wick, letting roots drink in rhythm with their needs. A system so simple, it feels like a secret whisper between nature and human hands. To make one, A plastic bottle is cut into two parts. The top half, inverted like a funnel, holds the soil and plant. The bottom half becomes a reservoir. A strip of cotton fabric or yarn threads through the cap, soaking up water and drawing it steadily upward. This design keeps the roots of chili plants and cherry tomatoes moist, but not drenched, perfect for preventing rot while encouraging steady growth. Place the bottle in a bright spot. Chili and tomato plants crave light. Over the days, you'll notice the green stems firming, the leaves standing prouder. In time, delicate flowers appear, followed by the thrill of fruit. You won't be scrambling with watering cans or second-guessing soil dampness. The reservoir handles that quietly. To make it even more useful, you can paint a line on the bottle base to show when the water is running low. It turns into a small habit. Checking your bottle gardens in the morning, refilling them like a tea ritual. No stress, just quiet tending. These planters are a dream for forgetful waterers or busy city dwellers. And because they reuse what would otherwise be waste, they turn a throwaway into a thriving system of life. A bottle, a wick, a handful of soil, and a seedling. That's all it takes to start a journey from trash to tomato. There's a soft kind of wonder in watching roots float. No soil, no digging, just clean, suspended strands stretching through water, feeding the body of a plant that grows crisp and luminous in the sun. The hydroponic bottle system isn't loud or complicated. It's just quiet, efficient magic, right on your windowsill. To begin, you take a clear plastic bottle, preferably 1.5 or 2 liters, and slice it in half. Invert the top into the bottom like a funnel. Instead of soil, a neck cup or a small basket sits inside the neck, cradling the seedling. Around it, small stones or sponge keep the base upright. Below, a diluted nutrient solution fills the reservoir, drawn up through a cloth wick or simply through passive contact if shallow enough. Lettuce, kale, arugula, these leafy greens love it here. No weeds, no messy tools, just clean growth. Within days, you'll see the roots reaching down like pale threads, dancing gently in the water. Above, the leaves fan out slowly, absorbing light, creating their own calm rhythm. Because there's no soil to hold moisture or pests, your maintenance drops drastically. Just top up the solution every few days and keep them under soft sunlight or a grow light near your kitchen window. Many DIY gardeners mount several bottles on a wooden frame or shelf, turning their wall into a vertical hydroponic farm, clean, green, and space-saving. And there's something special about harvesting your greens this way. The leaves feel fresher, even brighter. You didn't dig them out of earth, but raise them with light and water and care. It's a small act of futuristic farming done with everyday items. And once you start, it becomes addictive. In the early mornings, when the dew still clings to the lips of leaves, there's nothing sweeter than discovering a ripe strawberry blushing beneath the green. Even more so when it's growing from a tower of humble plastic bottles, stacked, repurposed, and thriving in the smallest of garden corners. The stack bottle planter is a vertical system built from patience and play. Each bottle, typically 1.5 or 2 liters, is trimmed and slotted one atop the other, forming a slender column anchored in a sturdy base. Small windows are cut along each bottle's curve, just wide enough to tuck in strawberry seedlings, their tiny crowns peeking out with promise. As the tower rises, so does the charm. The plants drape downward as they grow, turning the stack into a leafy cascade. By week 3, flowers open like soft stars. A few weeks more, and fruits begin to swell, hiding shyly beneath the leaves, dangling just within reach. Inside, the soil is packed lightly, allowing for airflow and drainage. A central pipe can be added to guide water from the top, trickling gently down each level, ensuring every layer is nourished equally. Some gardeners even add tiny pebbles or coconut coir to help regulate moisture and keep the tower cool in summer. What makes this design special is its invitation to the everyday gardener. You don't need a sprawling yard, just a sunny corner, a few bottles, and the will to try. Whether placed on a balcony, beside a door, or in the heart of a small patio, the bottle tower turns vertical space into food and beauty. And when you finally bite into that first homegrown berry, warm from the sun and sweet beyond belief, you'll know the tower was worth building. There's a quiet thrill in growing something upside down. It bends the rules, defying gravity, skipping traditional pots, and proving that plants, like people, can flourish when nurtured from unexpected angles. The upside-down bottle planter is a playful, space-saving solution for growing peppers, basil, or even small cherry tomatoes. Perfect for balconies or eaves where floor space is scarce but overhead light abounds. To create one, a large plastic bottle, usually 2 liters, is turned on its head. The bottom is carefully cut open to allow filling from the top, while the bottle's neck becomes the planting end. A small pepper or herb seedling is gently inserted to the mouth, roots first, held in place with a layer of sponge cloth or mesh to keep soil from falling through. As the plant grows, its stems curve toward the light, forming elegant arcs that sway in the wind. The weight of the fruits pulls them downward naturally, reducing stem stress and improving airflow around the leaves. Fewer pests, less soil splash, and a clean, vibrant appearance. A string or wire secures the planter to a beam, branch, or balcony ceiling. It's the kind of gardening that makes passers-by pause, wondering how that little chili plant seems so happy dangling from a recycled bottle. To keep things thriving, water is poured from the top, soaking downward through the soil. You can add a second bottle cut in half and place like a funnel to serve as a watering reservoir, slowly dripping over time. The key is balance, light soil, a sunny spot, and consistent moisture. These hanging planters feel like garden mobiles, practical, beautiful, and a bit whimsical. And when your herbs perfume the air and your chilies dangle like red ornaments, you'll smile knowing it all began with a bottle turned upside down. Not every garden begins with a trowel and a plot of land. Some start with a row of cut plastic bottles lined carefully along a sunlit balcony floor. Simple, grounded, and quietly purposeful. These horizontal bottle beds may not look grand, but beneath their surface, something profound is happening. Roots are digging, tubers are forming, and life is pressing forward in silence. This setup is especially suited for compact root vegetables, radishes, baby carrots, beets, or even spring onions. Each bottle becomes a miniature bed, laid on its side with a neat window sliced across the top. The ends are kept intact or capped with breathable mesh to allow some airflow and drainage without losing soil. The inside is filled with light, well-draining soil, part compost, part cocoa peat or sand. Seeds are sown evenly in rows, watered gently, and left to bask under the morning sun. Within days, slender green shoots begin to rise, while hidden beneath, roots quietly swell. Lining the bottles in rows, on a window ledge, low shelf, or patio border, create a rhythm that feels both orderly and alive. It's a gardener's version of writing in cursive, connected, flowing, personal. And because the containers are shallow and separate, there's less risk of overwatering or disease spreading across the bed. Some DIY growers decorate the sides of the bottles with hand-painted labels or chalkboard tags. Others keep them clear to observe root growth as an educational experience. Either way, these beds teach patience, precision, and a deep respect for how vegetables grow, not in flashy bursts, but through steady persistence. When harvest day comes and you gently tip the bottle, pulling out a fat, crimson beet or a row of slender carrots, it feels more than just productive. It feels poetic, a quiet victory shaped in plastic and earth. Sometimes the smallest gardens bring the most joy, especially when they bloom right outside your window at eye level within reach. Bottle rail planters for edible flowers are a sweet way to blend beauty and function. They bring color to your sill, scent to your space, and petals to your plate, all from something as simple as a reused bottle and a patch of morning sun. These planters begin with bottles cut lengthwise, like cradles. The openings are wide enough to hold a few inches of soil, while the rest of the bottle curves upward, shielding the roots and helping retain moisture. Each one is mounted or tied securely to a balcony rail or window ledge, either upright with slits on top or angled slightly outward like flower boxes. Inside, the soil is light and soft with good drainage. And in this little canvas, you sow seeds of violas, nasturtiums, calendula, or borage, flowers that are not only vibrant but also edible. Within a couple of weeks, tiny green shoots break through. A few weeks more, and the colors arrive: pinks, oranges, purples, flirting with the wind and drawing pollinators to your mini sky garden. As they grow, the bottles themselves become part of the art. You can paint them, wrap them in natural twine, or leave them clear to see the moisture levels and root growth. Every morning, when you open a window to let in air, you're greeted with a touch of garden charm and maybe a petal or two ready for your salad or tea. These rail planters don't demand space or fancy tools, just your hands, a few seeds, and a desire to turn overlooked edges into blooming borders. And when your lunch is garnished with something you grew outside your kitchen, it doesn't just taste good, it feels like a small, lovely triumph. There's a quiet poetry in watching a vine reach. Tendrils curl, leaves flutter, and little by little, the plant rises toward the light, anchored by nothing more than repurposed bottles and a gardener's gentle touch. The bottle garden trellis is a creative twist on vertical growing, where structure and sustainability meet to support crops that crave the sky. To build one, several plastic bottles, usually the same size, are attached vertically to wooden or bamboo stakes, or strung together using wire to form a column. Each bottle is cut open slightly to hold a small amount of soil and a seedling. Holes are punched in the top and bottom, so they can be threaded securely, stacked with space between to allow sunlight and air to pass through. The base of each bottle supports the roots, while the top remains open for the plant to reach upward. Once the beans sprout, they begin to climb, wrapping themselves around nearby poles, strings, or wires stretched between the bottles. As they grow, the bottles act not only as mini planters, but also as guideposts, marking each milestone on the vine's journey. This method is ideal for green beans, peas, or even flowering vines like morning glories. If you wish to blend beauty with harvest, it's particularly well suited for small yards, balconies, or garden corners where horizontal space is limited but vertical opportunity abounds. And there's something deeply satisfying about harvesting your dinner from a wall of living green. When the pods hang heavy and crisp in the golden light, you pick them with quiet pride, all from something that would have gone in the trash, now supporting life, climbing, flowering, fruiting. A bottle trellis isn't just practical, it's hopeful. A reminder that with a bit of patience and imagination, even the simplest scraps can become the scaffolding for something beautiful to grow. Sometimes, all a seedling needs is a little warmth, a little moisture, and a shield from the world while it gathers strength. A mini greenhouse made from a water bottle offers just that, an intimate, protected cocoon where new life can begin quietly, without fuss. It's a humble structure, but it echoes the great glass domes of botanical gardens, only smaller, simpler, and entirely within reach. To create one, you take a large water bottle, 5 liters or more, and carefully cut off the bottom. The cap stays on, though a small hole can be drilled into it for minimal airflow. This makeshift dome is then placed gently over a small pot, raised bed section, or directly onto the soil where seeds have been sown. The bottle traps heat and humidity, creating a stable microclimate perfect for sprouting lettuce, kale, herbs, or even delicate flowers. Each morning, condensation appears like a fine mist on the inner surface, proof that the ecosystem inside is alive and breathing. The soil stays moist longer, the air stays warmer, and the plant enjoys the cozy conditions that nature often struggles to provide consistently, especially in unpredictable climates. If the sun grows too strong, the cap can be removed or the bottle lifted for a few hours to allow ventilation. And once the seedlings are strong enough, the dome is removed, like lifting a veil, revealing a tiny plant ready to greet the world. Beyond its function, the visual is beautiful in its simplicity. A row of bottled domes glistening in morning light, lying along a garden bed like soft sentinels. No wires, no electricity, just a recycled shell turning the harshness of the world into gentleness. And for the gardener, it's a small daily ritual. Check the dome, peek inside, whisper encouragement. Because sometimes, the greatest magic in gardening is letting things grow slowly, quietly, under a little clear roof of care, above a shaded porch or along the eaves of a sunny pergola. Something beautiful swings in the breeze. Not flowers in ceramic pots, but leafy greens cradled in gently swaying nets, each supported by nothing more than a repurposed bottle. The bottle net planter is a graceful answer to small space gardening, turning air into growing space and trash into nourishment. At the heart of this design is a single bottle, cut open lengthwise or in a neat window along its side. Filled with light, well-draining soil, it becomes a bed for small leafy crops. Bok choy, baby spinach, pak goy, or lettuce. Around the bottle, A simple handmade net, crafted from old rope, yarn, or even recycled plastic twine, gently cradles a container. The net is tied at 4 or 6 points and gathered into a sturdy loop, which is then hung from a ceiling hook, crossbeam, or tree branch. The result is not just functional, it's poetic. A mobile garden that sways softly in the wind, catching raindrops and sunlight in equal measure. The leaves rustle when you walk by. Some grow downward, others upward, but all seem content to be held midair, like quiet ornaments of life. This method is perfect for humid or shaded environments where soil beds would rot or overcrowd. The elevation protects from ground pests, and the motion keeps air moving around the plants, reducing mold and disease. And because the bottles are suspended, you can grow many at different heights, forming a vertical dance of green. When harvest time comes, it's gentle work. A snip here, a handful of tender leaves there. You don't kneel, you reach. You don't weed, you admire. And in that moment, it's not just gardening. It's a floating celebration of resourcefulness, delicacy, and quiet beauty. Tucked against a sunlit wall or the wooden side of a garden shed, a row of plastic bottle pockets holds more than just soil. They cradle layers of living green. Spinach leaves curl outward like soft tongues catching morning dew, and mustard greens ripple gently in the breeze. These bottle wall pockets aren't loud or showy, but they transform vertical emptiness into edible abundance. The design is delightfully simple. Each plastic bottle is cut cleanly across the top, about a third removed, creating a scooped open mouth that resembles a soft pouch. Drainage holes are added at the bottom, and the bottles are fastened securely to a vertical surface using nails, screws, or sturdy wire. Whether staggered like bricks or stacked in tidy columns, the result is a cascading wall of edible foliage, fresh, easy to reach, and pleasing to the eye. Spinach and mustard greens thrive in shallow containers and respond quickly to regular watering and partial sunlight. The soil inside should be loose and nutrient-rich, with a bit of compost mixed in. Because of their positioning, watering is gentle, either with a soft-spouted can or a reused water bottle turned into a drip feeder above the row. There's something deeply rewarding about checking your wall garden each morning. You step outside with a mug of tea, brush your fingers along the cool leaves, and maybe pick a few for lunch. The bottles, once destined for landfills, now carry life instead of waste. And as neighbors walk by or visitors peer around the corner, they pause, not because it's fancy, but because it's real. A living wall made not with store-bought planters or trendy kits, but with the quiet ingenuity of someone who saw a possibility in what others toss away. In this garden, every bottle is a pocket of intention, and every leaf is a small, crisp promise of something good. In the heat of a dry afternoon, when the soil begins to crack and leaves curl under the weight of the sun, a quiet rhythm continues underground, soft. Drops of water falling exactly where they're needed. No hoses, no sprinklers, just gravity, patience, and a row of upcycled bottles doing their job. This is a humble elegance of a drip-irrigated bottle row, perfect for cabbage beds and thirsty crops that love steady moisture. The concept is as clever as it is simple. Bottles, ideally 1 to 2 liters, are filled with water and fitted with a small pinhole in their caps or along their lower sides. These are then inverted and buried neck first in the soil beside each cabbage seedling, or laid horizontally with the drip hole facing downward. As the pressure shifts, water seeps slowly into the surrounding earth, nourishing roots without flooding or runoff. The setup mimics natural rainfall in miniature. Each bottle can last a few days depending on heat and soil type, making it a low-maintenance companion for gardeners with busy days or inconsistent weather. It's especially helpful in raised beds or compact garden rows where every drop matters. Cabbage thrives with regular, deep watering, and this method ensures that moisture reaches the root zone rather than evaporating at the surface. You'll notice firmer heads, crisper leaves, and fewer pests drawn to oversaturated mulch or pooling puddles. There's a meditative quality to maintaining this system. Refilling each bottle becomes a ritual, quiet, methodical, like lighting lanterns before nightfall. It connects you to your plants not just through touch, but through rhythm. And at the end of the season, when your cabbage heads are dense and perfect, the bottles may still be there, scratched, sun-faded, but proud, because they help build something real, one drop at a time. Sometimes, A garden begins not with soil, but with structure. A bamboo fence, soft in its natural golden hue, stands like a quiet frame waiting to be filled. And then come the bottles, clear, green, or blue, wrapped gently around each pole, transformed into miniature planters that turn the fence itself into a living canvas. This design marries form and function. Plastic bottles are cut open near their tops or sides, creating pockets just large enough for a handful of soil. Each is tied or clipped firmly onto a vertical bamboo stalk, using twine, wire, or upcycled string. The result is a patterned wall of green, mint spilling from one, marigold leaves from another, perhaps a trailing string of oregano dipping toward the ground. The bamboo provides strength, and the bottles bring flexibility. You can shift them up or down, rotate them toward the sun, or cluster them by plant type. Herbs near the kitchen side, flowers facing the garden path. The structure breathes, sways slightly in the wind, and ages beautifully over time. Inside each bottle, light soil mixed with compost cradles roots comfortably. The small volume means you water more often, but also more gently. And if you place a slow drip bottle atop the bamboo frame, it can water 2 or 3 planters as it flows downward, a vertical irrigation chain that saves effort and spills. Beyond its practicality, this project becomes a piece of art. The interplay between natural bamboo and clear plastic reflects both old and new, tradition and invention. The plants soften the lines, blur the edges, and invite birds, bees, and curious glances. And at dusk, when the sun filters through the bottles and lights them like stained glass, your fence becomes more than a boundary. It becomes a living story, one that grows and shifts with each leaf, each bloom, each passing season. At the quiet corner of a balcony table or the sunny edge of a kitchen windowsill, a cradle of life begins, woven by hand, shaped by care, and filled with the tiniest bursts of green. Microgreens don't need much room, just a bit of light, a whisper of moisture, and a home that holds them steady. That home here is a woven cradle made from discarded plastic bottles, softened into something purposeful, warm, and alive. The base of this design starts with a bottle cut lengthwise to form a shallow trough, open and wide enough to cradle a few inches of fine growing medium. Around it, strips of additional bottles or recycled rope and twine are woven gently across the sides, creating a hammock-like form that lifts the planter from flat surfaces and allows air to circulate underneath. You can set it on a small frame or suspend it slightly like a swing, depending on your space. Inside, coconut fiber, compost, or even damp paper towels can host a scattering of tiny seeds, radish sprouts, purple basil, mustard cress, or sunflower microgreens. Within just a few days, the silent miracle of growth begins. Slender stems rise, leaves unfurl, and your small cradle transforms into a soft forest of green. Because the cradle is light and flexible, you can rotate it toward the sun or carry it from one corner to another with ease. A misting bottle becomes your watering can, and your fingers become harvest tools, pinching off a handful of flavor to scatter across soup, sandwiches, or morning eggs. This project isn't about yield or size. It's about closeness, intimacy with your food, the joy of watching something sprout each morning, and knowing it came from your hands, and from a bottle that was once forgotten, a woven cradle reborn in green. In the soft patchwork of a backyard garden, where sunlight shifts slowly across the soil, color can be more than decoration. It can be a guide, a way to organize, to inspire, and to turn recycled plastic into a language of growth. Color-coded bottle beds bring beauty and function together, letting each hue mark a purpose, each row tell a story. The concept begins with bottles in different shades, greens, blues, browns, even hand-painted ones if needed. These bottles are filled with soil, laid horizontally in tidy rows, their necks capped or sealed to prevent spillage. Openings along the top provide room to sow seeds or place young seedlings. The rows are arranged by crop type: leafy greens in green bottles, root veggies in brown, herbs in blue, flowers in pink or purple. It's not just a feast for the eyes. It's a map for the gardener. As your garden expands, you know by color where to check for growth, which rows need thinning, where to harvest. Visitors, too, find it charming, an intuitive system that makes the garden feel alive and organized without ever feeling rigid. The bottles themselves act as miniature raised beds. Their sides retain moisture, while their bottoms allow for drainage if perforated. You can fill them with compost-rich soil and top them with mulch to reduce evaporation in hot climates. The plastic also helps warm the soil early in the season, giving your seeds a head start. And as your crops begin to grow, red lettuce in green rows, chives in blue, carrots breaking to brown, you see how much color can shape intention. It turns a recycled bottle into a marker, a mood, even a method. This is a garden that speaks in color, not for show, but for clarity, for joy, for the quiet satisfaction of watching order and life unfold together. Tucked into a sun-dappled corner of the garden, a curious tower rises, simple, vertical, and full of life. But it's not just a stack of reused bottles. It's a thoughtful harmony of plants living together, each supporting the other in a quiet trio of companionship. This is a bottle tower for companion planting, where 3 crops share space, roots, and purpose. The structure begins with large plastic bottles, 2-liter or 5-liter types, cut and stacked to form a vertical column. Each layer holds a separate plant, chosen not randomly, but with care. A tall, upright crop like basil or scallions sits near the top, reaching confidently toward the sun. Mid-level, a leafy green such as lettuce or spinach fills out the space, catching dappled light and sheltering the roots below. At the base, a trailing herb or flower like thyme or marigold spills outward, protecting the soil and deterring pests. Together, they form a living microecosystem, each plant giving something, each taking just what it needs. The bottles are filled with nutrient-rich soil and layered with compost or cocoa peat to retain moisture. A central wick or pipe can deliver water from the top, letting it trickle gently down through all 3 levels. You don't need a large yard for this. A sunny balcony, a porch step, even a corner near your front door will do. And because the tower grows up instead of out, it becomes a space-saving wonder for the urban gardener. There's beauty in the balance. Watching tall stems rise above soft greens, while low herbs cascade in delicate waves. You harvest from all levels, pinching basil from the top, gathering salad from the middle, snipping thyme from below. In one simple tower, you hold a trio of flavors, scents, and colors. A quiet lesson in coexistence, growing upward from bottles once bound for waste. In places where the ground stays wet, where puddles linger and soil turns to sponge, many gardeners hesitate. But nature never really stops growing. It just shifts its strategy. And sometimes the answer isn't to dig deeper, but to float. Floating bottle garden rafts offer a whimsical, practical solution for swampy yards, rice paddy edges, or flood-prone areas, using what would otherwise be waste to lift new life above the water. The base is made from tightly bound plastic bottles, sealed, buoyant, and arranged in a raft-like grid. Bottles are lashed together with twine, recycled plastic, or even placed inside a wooden or bamboo frame for added support. Above this flotation layer sits a planting bed, a shallow tray, sack, or sheet filled with lightweight soil, coconut husk, or a compost blend that doesn't get waterlogged easily. Here, shallow-rooted crops like pakgoy, lettuce, water spinach, or even small flowering plants take root. Their stems rise above the ripples, while the raft itself moves gently with the breeze, never drowning, never drifting too far. What makes this design quietly brilliant is its adaptability. In wet seasons, the raft lifts with the water. In dry spells, it rests gently back on the mud. You can anchor it with poles or ropes to keep it from drifting, or let it move slightly to reduce algae growth and prevent stagnation. The visual is serene. Green plants swaying over mirrored water, bottles glinting beneath like bubbles in a current. It turns unusable land into a productive patch, and brings life where gardeners once saw only loss. Harvesting is a barefoot pleasure, stepping lightly along a wooden plank to snip greens from a raft that floats like a dream. It's simple, resourceful, and deeply connected to the rhythms of the land. Because sometimes the best way to grow is to let go and rise.